Hello everybody, welcome back to iCommand. This is TV Boy, and we have some new cards from Season 10. Just been spoiled. Today is Thursday, July 4th. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Let's celebrate by looking at some new cards from the new season for Imperial Assault, IACP. Let's see, we're not going to bother reading the articles written by some amateur, obviously. But let's look at the new cards. I'm going to pretend that I have not seen these cards, that I have not been working on these for months, and I'm just going to try and look at them and talk about them as if I'm seeing them for the first time. Um, Now it's funny because this is my article. So when they gave me my assignment, I was like, "Ooh, I get to spoil Tress. I get to write the Tress article." And then I was like, "Oh wait, speeder bikes are also here, and this is probably going to be about speeder bikes." So that's probably the headliner. So yeah, speeder bikes. We've got speeder bikes in. I swear I feed that cat. Okay, we've got speeder bikes and Imperial Assault finally. So these are definitely a long time coming, especially since they've been in Legion since like forever. And people have been asking about when are we going to get speeder bikes so we can use our Legion speeder bikes in Imperial Assault. They are a little bit big from the Legion, but you can definitely fit them. As you can see, it looks like they've put an indicator on the card here that shows you that it's going to be a large base on a 1x2 spaces. So that's nice to have that. So let's look at what we're working with here. We've got a 7-point deployment card, and it's actually 2 figures, so four figure cost. You get 2 figures, 7 health, speed 5, so pretty fast as expected, with a white defense dice and blue yellow ranged attack. So pretty solid attack there for a 4-point figure. They've got efficient travel, so that means that they ignore difficult terrain when they're moving. Also, they ignore enemy figures for paying extra movement point costs. And they've got Surge for +2 damage, Surge to gain a evade token, so that's pretty flavorful for their being fast. When they attack, they can get evade tokens. It's kind of plays into similar flavor that the Jet Troopers have with Agile being able to add evades. Alright, so we've got 3 abilities here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. There we go. 3 abilities here. We've got, first of all, Mounted. So this is the same as the Dewback Rider and Captain Taro. So at the start of your activation, gain 3 movement points. So that means that off the rip, they can move 8 spaces for just one single action. Or they can move 3 spaces and have both of their actions to do things, so that's pretty strong. Then they've got Thrusters, a new ability. It says, while moving, you ignore impassable terrain and must enter at least 1 space that you are already occupying. Okay, so impassable terrain is the dotted red lines. That's the type of terrain that you can see through but you cannot move through. So it's kind of interesting. They get kind of like a pseudo version of mobile. They don't have true mobile because they can't go through blocking terrain, but they can basically ignore difficult terrain and impassable terrain as well as enemy figures. And then that bit about you have to enter at least 1 space that you're already occupying. So they're a 2-space large figure. So whenever they move, they cannot exit all of their spaces. They have to follow, I guess they have to follow along a certain path. Oh, look at that. There's actually an image here that we can look at that kind of shows you how this works. So there's a little green check mark that shows how it should work, and there is a red X that shows how I guess it shouldn't work. So, oh, there you go. They cannot side slip to the side like that. They have to follow their facing. So basically, they follow along a line. That kind of makes them move like a speeder bike. So that's pretty cool. And what's this +1 damage bit over here? Let's read a little bit further on the card. Forward mounted blasters. While attacking, if the target space occupies the same row as both of your figure's spaces, apply +1 damage to the attack results. Okay, so if you're lined up and you've got a figure right in your, I guess, your bullseye, but there's no bullseye or firing arcs in Imperial Assault. But if you've got it lined up with your mini, you get a damage bonus. So I guess that's kind of cool. It's like trying to imitate the cannons here on the bike, and the fact that you have to line up your shot with those cannons to get that extra damage bonus. So pretty cool. Pretty cool, guys. Alright, let's take a look at the next card. I want to make this video kind of short. We've got Tress Hacnua. So anyway, Tress is a 5-point brawler. She's actually originally from Tyrants of Lothal. And she's always been like almost good enough, so it's cool that they're giving her a little bit of an update here. Let's actually look at the original version. Let's see if we can do that. Going into Tabletop Admiral here. So there you can see the original Tress, also 5 points. The problem with Tress was she didn't have any surge for damage abilities. Like, she couldn't actually convert surges into extra damage on the target, and that made it really hard to use all her other abilities, because in order to use cleave, stun, or weaken, you have to do damage to the target. And if you can't convert damage with like a +2 damage surge, that's really hard, no matter how many surges you roll for cleave X. So it looks like they've given her +1 damage on each of her surge abilities to stun and weaken. And then we would still have cleave X and recover X. Great Dragon Fury, of course, is while attacking X equals the number of surges rolled. And Phrynox style is still the same unless you re-roll on any die while attacking or defending. Choose one. Oh, one attack die. Yeah, still the same. Okay, then we have a new ability here. Let's close this. Leg Hydraulics. This is a new 3rd ability. It says after you resolve an attack, move up to 1 space. So that is going to be really good with cleave. And of course, her other ability. Oh, look, we gave her +1 health as well. I think I missed that in the article. Let's see. Her command card does cleave 1 and cleave 2 as well. So this leg hydraulics means that she's going to be able to attack, and then since cleave and leg hydraulics have the same timing window after an attack resolves, you can actually move her around with leg hydraulics and then choose your target with cleave. So that's going to be really nice for doing that cleave damage, having more flexibility in your cleave targets. So that's cool. That's Tress. Let's see what else we've got here. New Dengar. Alright, so Dengar has been updated already in IACP. And I think the problem with Dengar was his attack is just too weak for 7 points. Even as a hunter, I think we were a little bit too conservative. Of course, old Dengar is just awful. You can see 8 health on a 7-point figure. He doesn't even self-focus in the old version, so you've got green-yellow on the 7-point original, but the IACP version self-focuses. But we've got a new ability here. First of all, he's got +1 damage added to his attack, so boosts his attack damage just a little bit. And then punishment has been changed, so now after you resolve an attack that did not miss, for each uncancelled surge result, you may have a hostile figure within 2 spaces of the target space suffer a harmful condition of its controller's choice that it doesn't already have. So Dengar looks like he's going to be really good at spreading conditions around on your opponent's figures. It's kind of similar to like heavy fire, but instead of spreading damage, you're spreading conditions, harmful conditions. And I guess the opponent gets to choose, so you're not going to be spreading a bunch of stuns for each surge you get on a bunch of figures. Though if you choose the same figure 3 times, then they'll have to take stun, because they'll have to take all 3 conditions. If you choose one figure 3 times, you get 3 surges. Or you could use something like Punishing Strike, so that when your opponent tries to take tries to take a like weaken or bleeding for the punishment ability. You can exhaust punishing strike and turn that into a stun, so that's pretty good. Also, this looks like it's going to be quite good with the new command card Capitalize, which was the Comms Disrupt that counts how many harmful conditions are on your opponent's figures rather than how many spies you have. As well as HK Assassin Droids are going to love this guy. Since you could go with Dengar, kill something, and then spread a harmful condition to something else that maybe has activated already, and then go with HKs and attack that thing, and you get the extra damage from Merciless. So Dengar is going to be doing a lot of harmful conditions, it looks like. And we've got one more card here, and this is a brand new card. This is called Nemik's Manifesto. This is a 1-point skirmish upgrade for the Rebels. It says your command deck may include up to 3 additional command cards. Okay, so you can have an 18-card command deck. And then it also says exhaust this card during a friendly figure's activation to have that figure suffer 2 strain and gain 1 movement point. Okay, so once per round you can give a figure 1 extra movement point, although it has to suffer 2 strain to do it. So 2 different abilities. Let's talk about what it's doing. 3 extra command cards in your deck. So that's funny. It's kind of like the opposite of Balance of the Force, which gives you 3 extra points worth of command cards in your deck. But you don't get any extra points. So you even though you can play 18 cards, you can still only play 15 points. So effectively giving you 3 additional 0-point cards, which is kind of neat because there's a lot of very interesting and powerful 0-point cards that it often feels is hard to find room for in a command deck, because you've got the really strong ones that you have to run, which are Take Initiative, Element of Surprise, Urgency, Planning. Just kind of like there's 4 or 5 really strong 0-point cards that you just kind of have to run, and then it's hard to find room for additional 0-point cards in your deck, especially if the other cards in your deck are cheaper, like 2 or 1-point cards. You don't have a bunch of 3-point cards. So that's kind of interesting. The only issue though is you are still diluting your deck if you're including additional command cards. So you're making the power of your command deck weaker. Like each card you draw is going to be on average lower cost than if you had 15 cards with the same number of points. So I think you need really specific reason to want to play this card. Maybe like you have a ton of command card draw and you find that you are running out of command cards to draw in like round 3. You might want this. I think the real reason though is to run this is going to be for the movement point. I think getting 1 movement point for free, even for that steep cost of 2 strain, is really strong. And if you can get around having to use one of your actions to move, there's a lot of powerful things you can do with a freed up action. Let's see. Just looking at some figures here that have extra actions. I mean, what's his name? Is going to be really good with this. Baze, right? Baze Malbus, being able to, he already gets to move 1 extra point. Where is he? Right, he already gets that free movement. Gain 1 movement point. So with this, you can move 2, and he has assault, so you get to attack twice. Any melee figure really is gonna love this card. This is gonna make Rebel melee figures and melee lists super strong, or way stronger. Especially the really slow guys like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Kanan Jarrus. Basically making them speed 5 is going to be really good for them. Yeah, can't quite think of what else really benefits from the extra movement point right at this minute. But looking really strong for that. And you know what? The strain actually is interesting, because if you could like pad your deck with cards with the first ability, and then not be so worried about losing valuable cards with the strain. Because just as I said, if you have a bunch of filler in your deck, yes, drawing each card you draw is going to be relatively, on average, weaker. But that's true for mill too. If each card you discard from the top of your deck, it will also be relatively weaker when you fill your deck up with padding. So that might be an interesting strategy to go with the strain. So those are the spoilers that we've got today. We're going to have one more batch of spoilers coming out on Friday the 5th, so make sure you guys are checking the website for that. And we are looking forward to playtesting. I know these are getting put into Vassal right now, so they should be ready by Monday. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you for the next one.